Farmers are making a cry for help before it's too late. Countless farmers gathered to speak to representatives of Arkansas leaders to share the urgency that something needs to be done about the current state of farming.
Now, I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love you, Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love.
5 of my customers have committed. That's how serious that this is.
And what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now.
I farm with paid-for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old, and I can't hardly make this deal work. I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm.
After a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
We made a decision to go out this year in the spring. So my son will not be the seventh generation on our farm.
We're going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
So, remember when we all watched quietly as a bunch of folks in pickup trucks and cowboy hats swore up and down that tariffs were going to make America great again? That they'd punish China, bring back jobs, and somehow, magically, not affect them? Well, welcome to 2025, where the chickens have come home to roost, and by chickens I mean soybeans rotting in silos. By roost I mean bankruptcy court. Meet the American farmer, proud, independent, rugged individualist, until the second profits dry up. Then, hands out, cap in hand, begging Uncle Sam like it's Thanksgiving and they forgot to cook. They voted for a man who said government is the problem, then turned around and demanded government be the solution when their farms started collapsing under the weight of their own bad decisions. And look, I get it. Farming's hard. But when you cheer on policies that destroy your own markets, deport your workforce, and spike your input costs, maybe don't act surprised when the whole thing goes up in smoke. This isn't tragedy. This is economics. And today, we're watching the fallout. Welcome back to Mind Mirror.
Those Arkansas farmers crying up and down the timeline are killing me because they just discovered that racism and hate is very expensive. You voted for Trump for no reason because you could have taken 2 seconds out of your day to look up the policies that would directly affect you. As a farmer, why are you voting for somebody that's going to implement the stupidest tariffs? Why are you voting for somebody that is gutting infrastructure? Why are you voting for somebody that is going to have your land basically taken? I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to afford that farmland anymore, and it's going to be scooped up by all these tech companies and AI companies, and they are going to put these factories right on your land, and you are going to go obsolete. So congratulations, and you effed around and found out.
Hey, Arkansas farmers, Arkansas. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You all voted to allow all of this to happen. You all raised against China. You all raised against the rest of the world. But you want China to buy your soybeans and your whatever the hell you produce. Yeah, the people that you despise, you want them to buy shit from you, right? That's not how the world works.
All right, so they want China to buy their soybeans. After spending years screaming about punishing China, bro, that's not how trade works. And let's be real, China wasn't some evil empire that randomly stopped buying. They stopped because Trump slapped massive tariffs on them in 2018. And guess what? They didn't just sit around waiting. They went to Brazil, signed long-term contracts, built new supply chains. Now U.S. farmers are like, hey, can we start again? And China's like, nah, we're good. It's Econ 101. When you lose a customer, you don't get a do-over, especially when your competitor is happy to fill the gap. And Brazil, they've been thriving. Their soybean exports to China have doubled since 2018. Meanwhile, Arkansas farmers are watching their beans rot in storage, wondering why no one's buying. Like, did they think China was just going to miss them? And don't get me started on the hypocrisy. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, unless you're the one failing. Then it's save American agriculture. It's like burning down your own house and then screaming, why isn't the fire department rebuilding it for free?
And since you hate socialism, no money for you. Because socialism means taxpayers' money is shared. But you don't want that. So I suggest, Miss Arkansas farmer, that you pull yourself up by the bootstraps. That's what you wanted everybody else to do. And if you think the countries that you despise want to buy your produce and your hogs and your chicken and your soybeans, they're not buying American products because of your hate-filled MAGA agenda.
Oh, this part hits hard. You hate socialism, then no money for you. Yes, thank you, because that's the entire contradiction, right? These folks scream, no handouts, no welfare, when regular people need food stamps. But the second their tractor breaks down, or China stops buying their beans, bailout, stimulus, save the family farm. It's selective capitalism. Like, I believe in the free market, as long as it doesn't hurt me. And let's talk about the real cost of these bailouts. That $24 billion from Trump's first term, that didn't come from thin air. It came from all of us, even people in cities who don't own a single acre of farmland. Meanwhile, rural broadband, mental health services, rural business grants, all got cut under the same administration that bailed out these farms. So, yeah, you wanted small government until you needed a giant check. And now they're shocked the same guy won't do it again? Like, did they not notice he's not even promising it this time?
So for those of y'all who've been keeping up with recent events as it relates to the farmers, right? We talked about Nebraska, and then we talked about Iowa, and all of these farmers, you know, are losing their minds because they're losing their farms, and, you know, they're scared. Well, let me tell y'all what I heard today. So the lobbyist groups for the farmers are proposing another bailout of $16 billion. The last time syphilitic Sid did this in his first administration, they received a whopping $24 billion in bailouts. Well, this time around, syphilitic Sid said he doesn't know if he can do that. He's not sure that that's something that they can accommodate. Look, I love the farmers. The farmers are wonderful. They farm, right? They farm. But, you know, we're trying to cut fraud and waste and a lot of unnecessary spending. So now these people and their lobbyists are trying to get bailouts. But what I want to understand is, what happened to you got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps? What happened to we voted for him because he's a great businessman? What happened to we're going to put our trust in him because he's going to help us? Help y'all do what exactly? Lose your farms? Yes, that part.
Oh, this hits different. We voted for him because he's a great businessman. And now they're losing their actual businesses. It's like hiring a guy who says he's a chef. Then he sets the kitchen on fire and blames the stove. Trump is a businessman. A bad one. Chapter 11. Bankruptcies, multiple, defaulted loans, tons. And now farmers are learning that lesson personally. But here's the economic nuance. Bailouts don't fix structural problems. They're a band-aid on a severed artery. You can give farmers $16 billion today. But if China's still buying from Brazil, if your labor force is gone, if equipment costs are up because of tariffs on Chinese parts, you're still screwed. And that's the thing. These bailouts reward failure. They let farmers keep making the same bad decisions over and over, knowing the government will come save them. Meanwhile, a single mom working 2 jobs gets told to tighten her belt. But a farmer who voted for policies that tanked his own market? Here's a check. It's not just unfair, it's anti-capitalism, but only for the people who can afford to fail.
Because you know who invests in these companies that buy up bankrupted farms? Your vice president. So, to all you farmers that voted for this, thinking it was going to be like the last time and he was going to give y'all a bailout and y'all would get those subsidies to support yourselves and your farms and your families. It's not coming. Not this time around. It's not coming. You can just forget it. So I wish you well. I hope it works out for you. Maybe, somebody can whisper in his ear and change his mind. You might want to reach out to Ivanka because she's his favorite and he listens to her, I guess. But they're not really speaking, ever since the insurrection. But I don't know. This is just word on the street. It's just gossip. But you didn't hear it from me. But, good luck.
Farmers are now begging. Farmers are begging for the current administration to make a trade deal with China for soybeans. Begging. There is no trade deal. It's the end of August for soybeans for farmers in the United States.
Okay, so they're begging for a trade deal with China after spending years cheering on a trade war? It's like breaking into your neighbor's house, trashing their living room, and then knocking on their door like, hey, can I borrow a cup of sugar? China isn't stupid. They moved on. They signed long-term contracts with Brazil, Argentina, even Russia. And now U.S. farmers want them to just come back like nothing happened? Economically, this is irreversible damage. Once a buyer finds a reliable supplier, they don't just switch back because you're desperate. And let's talk about the timing. Soybeans have a shelf life. If they don't sell by fall, they rot. So every day, without a deal, is money lost, and it's not coming back. But again, they voted for this. They celebrated tariffs like it was a victory parade. Now, oh no, the tariffs are hurting us? Yeah, that's how tariffs work. Consumers pay them, and farmers are consumers when they buy tractors, fertilizer, parts from China. So they're getting hit twice, once on sales, once on costs. And still they blame Biden.
Do you want to know what percentage that we sent to China? 60 to 70% of soybeans were sent to China. China has moved on. China has moved on to Brazil. China has made deals with everyone else. China has put this administration on ignore. But I don't want you to feel sorry for farmers. Do you know why? Because he did exactly this to farmers for soybeans, losing them about $10 billion in 2018. Please Google this. Please Google it. And they voted for him again. And a lot of them say they would vote for him again, even though bankruptcies are the highest they have been in years for farmers. There are no trade deals for soybean, nor will there be. China, checkmate. U.S., zero.
So the people who say no handouts just lined up for a handout. Now tell me why farmers in Arkansas are standing outside with their hands out again, begging Uncle Sam for money. See, when it's regular people struggling, rent too high, groceries too ridiculous, can't afford health care, the answer is always from these people, stop complaining, stop asking for handouts, and pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Farmers in Arkansas are crying out to the feds for stimulus money like it's open mic night. And look, I get it, because times are hard everywhere. When you plant your crops, raise your cattle, take on the risks of farming, wasn't that a personal business decision? So why is it on me and you to make sure that that decision keeps paying out? Because see, when you and I make bad decisions, government doesn't cut us a check to make it right for us. Now, let's connect the dots here a little bit. These are the same people voting for the same politicians who say government is the problem. Yet as soon as the tractors stop running and their profits dry up, government magically turns into a solution for them. Ain't that funny and ironic? The question is, do we owe farmers any help? Or do they need to practice what they preach? Figure it out. Tighten that belt. Leave taxpayers out of it. Because last I checked, it's really not our problem to fix somebody else's gamble.
Dear God, if you've never listened before, Texas is reporting that numerous farms are shutting down. They have no workforce to bring in the harvest. So what does that mean? We're going to have less food available. What does less food mean? Higher prices for what is available. Even the cattle has been left unattended. Now, they're gathering people up to make a workforce. Don't even doubt that for a second, that that's what they're working on here. However, there's no people now. Now, as we come into fall and everything is ready to be picked and processed, we are in a massive FO moment for the nation. So if you have not stocked up on basic food items that will help you survive, God help you. Because you're going to need it. I don't know what more to say.
Oh, this is rich. No workforce? Bro, you voted to deport them. Let's not pretend this is a surprise. This isn't some labor shortage. This is self-sabotage with a side of irony. Farmers wanted tough on immigration policies, loved it, cheered for it, posted memes about building the wall. And now they're like, wait, where'd all the workers go? You scared them off. And it's not just fear, it's policy. ICE raids, workplace audits, family separations. Yeah, that doesn't exactly scream, come work on my farm. And now they're scrambling to gather people up like they're casting extras for a disaster movie. But here's the economic reality. Agriculture runs on immigrant labor. Period. 70% of crop workers in the U.S. are undocumented or on temporary visas. You don't just replace that with volunteers or patriotic Americans who don't want to work 12-hour days in 110-degree heat for $13 an hour. So now crops rot, cattle go unattended, and suddenly we, the public, are supposed to panic about food shortages. No, you made this bed. Lie in it. And honestly, this is a public health issue now. Rotting produce, unsanitary conditions, price spikes, all because a bunch of voters thought illegal immigration was a bigger threat than their own food supply.
So with all this winning and FAFOing going on, apparently Iowa was feeling left out and felt the need to enter the fray and throw their hat in the ring. Iowa, the state of Iowa, is currently leading the nation in farm bankruptcies in 2025. Evidently, Iowa farmers did not learn their lesson from the first Trump administration and are getting another dose of reality. I guess once bit, twice shy, right? But, I mean, I'm not sure what can be said at this point. Like, you know, this constantly feeling the need to bend over and say, please, sir, I'd like some more. I mean, you guys are beyond help. I don't know. Like, and despite all this, and despite the fact that the state GDP has shrunk by 6%, Governor Kim Reynolds has come out and said, Iowa farmers stand by Donald Trump despite the tariffs. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, if you're going to go down with the ship, go down hard, right? But of course, you know that they're going to be asking for handouts and expecting subsidies, right? Socialist.
Farmers laying awake, crying at night because they're cash strapped. Look at this. Farmers and cattle ranchers are short 150,000 workers to pick crops. Fruit is rotting on the ground. No soybean deals with China, which is 60% of what they normally sell every year. Zero deals. Farm equipment. John Deere is losing millions of dollars due to tariffs. And farmers, if they have the money, are buying used equipment. Farmers who every single time vote for this administration, and every single time, this is an exact replica, but times 10 from his first term. Farmers crying at night, and many of them, I bet you, would say they'd vote for him again, getting exactly what you voted for. And guess what? Blackstone and JD Vance are ready to come in and swoop up your bankrupt farms. MAGA farmers, I have zero sympathy for you. Zero.
Okay, so Iowa's leading the nation in farm bankruptcies. And their governor says they still stand by Trump? That's not loyalty. That's Stockholm Syndrome. Let that sink in. Their state's economy has shrunk by 6%. Their markets are gone. their labor's gone, their equipment costs are through the roof, and they're still like, yeah, we'd vote for him again. This isn't just economics. This is identity politics on full display. They're not voting for policy. They're voting for tribe. And look, I get it. Rural America feels left behind. But doubling down on the same guy who accelerated that decline, that's not resistance. That's suicide. And let's talk about John Deere. Tariffs on Chinese steel, that drove up the cost of tractors. Now farmers can't afford new ones. So they're buying used equipment, which breaks down more, costs more to fix, and lowers productivity. It's a negative feedback loop. Tariffs, higher input costs, lower profits, can't buy new equipment, lower yields, more debt, bankruptcy. And yet, they still blame Biden, the media, the deep state. Nah, the math doesn't lie. The policies do. And the fact that they're still celebrating this guy while their farms collapse? That's the most American thing ever, like watching your house burn down and still cheering the arsonist. So, where does this leave us? With a lesson. A simple one. You can't hate government, hate immigrants, hate trade, and then expect the system to save you when it all collapses. Especially when you were the one holding the match. These farmers aren't victims of liberalism. They're casualties of their own ideology. And yeah, it's easy to laugh. And honestly, a little cathartic. But beneath the mockery is a warning. Economics isn't political. It's arithmetic. And when you keep making decisions that don't add up, eventually the numbers catch up with you. So to the farmers still holding out hope for a bailout, good luck. You're going to need it. Drop a comment below. Do they deserve help, or is this the price of principle? And if you liked this, smash that like button, share it with someone who still thinks tariffs are free, and subscribe. Because trust me, this isn't the last time we'll say, I told you so.